What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic: the last time I checked, Al Haymon was wearing a suit. Is he one of the suits Errol Spence is talking about? Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. All right, so we're going to talk about, what Errol Spence said lately about suits. Okay, as you can see, before we get to that, before we get to Errol, let's talk about what Bob Arum said, previous to what Errol Spence said, okay? So a couple of days ago, Bob Arum said that Errol Spence was holding up the fight between Crawford and Spence. Okay, there's the article right here in Boxing News. You can go and check it out for yourself. Okay, I'm just going to show you the headline. Okay, January 28th, 2021. Bob Arum, Errol Spence is holding up the Crawford fight. So he went on to elaborate that, everybody wants to fight except for Spence, and that, don't blame Al Haymon, don't blame PBC, blame Spence, because he said that Al Haymon was amenable to the fight, meaning that Al Haymon, wanted to make the fight, but it was Spence that was saying no. Now, I told, in one of my last videos before that I was hearing, from some people, some inside info about the PBC that, Errol Spence was basically getting in the way of making a fight with, with Crawford, and that, they wanted to make that fight with Crawford, but it was Errol Spence, that was basically putting up roadblocks to the fight. Now, I heard this from a different source than Bob Arum. I heard this like about, maybe almost 2 weeks ago now. Okay. So I was hearing that a lot of people in the PBC hierarchy, was saying that Errol Spence didn't want this fight with Terrence Crawford. So this is coming from PBC people, and they're talking about that inside the PBC. And then, like, not even a week later, we see Bob Arum comes out and says, "Oh, Spence is holding up the fight, and don't blame Al Haymon, and don't blame PBC. It's Errol Spence that's stopping the fight." And we all know Errol Spence claims that he doesn't have a promoter. He just has an advisor, and that he's his own promoter. So basically, if Errol Spence is his own promoter, he makes the fight. Nobody can force him to fight, really. Nobody. I mean, most of the time, most of these fighters, nobody really forces them to fight. They fight if they want to fight. Okay, basically that's what it comes down to. Because we see what's going on with the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury don't want to fight Deontay Wilder, so more than likely that fight's not going to happen, no matter what the networks or the promoters want. Okay, so from what we're hearing, we already know that the boxing community wants to fight. Okay, between Crawford and Spence. Fans want to fight. The networks want to fight. Okay. Now we're hearing that PBC wants to fight. I mean, that's what I heard anyway from inside. Inside scoop. I'm hearing from let's just say, the grapevine. Okay, that they want to make this fight, but the problem is Errol Spence. He doesn't want to make the fight. He doesn't want this fight with Terrence Crawford. So when Bob Arum comes out and says this now, it's not anything new, really. Okay, so I'm not sure where Bob got how he got the info, but I mean he's been boxing forever, so I'm pretty sure he got his sources inside different camps, and can know what's going on. So he comes out and he makes he makes a comment about this Errol Spence situation and not wanting to fight. Okay, so what happens? Not even 2 days later, Errol Spence comes out and says boxers getting screwed over by suits. Now, if you notice this headline, it doesn't say boxers getting screwed over by Bob Arum. Okay? It says by suits. Okay? That means people in suits, management, okay, executives. Okay? So if you was talking about just specifically Bob Arum, I'm sure he would have said Bob Arum, because he have made comments about Bob Arum before, like, for example, saying Bob Arum needs to stop lying, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. So here he's not saying Bob Arum needs to stop lying. He's saying, he's tired of boxers getting screwed over by suits. So you can go and check the article out, yourself. There it is in the Boxing Voice. So, like I said in my, headline, the last time I checked, and every time, as a matter of fact, every time I've checked, Al Haymon is wearing a suit. Okay? So, and then the next thing we're hearing, like I said, is that, Bob Arum is saying that I don't blame Al Haymon. Okay? It's only Errol Spence that don't want to fight. So we see, we just got to put two and two together. Okay? So it looks like they're putting pressure on Errol Spence to take the fight with Crawford, and he doesn't want to fight. Okay, so he comes out and he's saying suits. He's not going to say Al Haymon out of his mouth. He's not going to say, the PBC hierarchy or the people, the matchmakers in PBC. He says suits, to be politically correct, basically. So it looks like they're putting pressure on him to make the fight, and he's telling them, nah, I don't want to make the fight, and blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. He's talking about how, they want him to just basically shut up and fight. Okay, and he said he's not going to do that. Okay, so we can put two and two together. Okay, and basically what it looks like to me is that, they're telling them, man, forget about this 60-40 business, man. Okay, just go ahead and make the fight 50-50. Okay, so we can get that fight. Just say 50-50 and we'll take that fight. But that's his getaway card. Okay, talking about percentages is Errol Spence getaway card. Okay, you can keep talking that, and act like he's not ducking Terrence Crawford, but just say he wants 60%, and it doesn't seem like he's ducking, but everybody know he's ducking. Okay, I mean it's common knowledge by now, but because like I said, even the people in the PBC is saying that he doesn't want to fight. So it's the pressure is on Errol Spence. Okay. And you see that, he's coming out and saying suits. He don't want to get screwed over by the suit. So he's probably talking about some of the people in his own, organization, because he's making a general statements about suits. He's not talking about Bob Arum specifically. Okay. So it doesn't matter putting two and two together, people. That's all it is. Okay. So it looks like the pressure is on him. Okay. They want to make this, because, at the end of the day, it's a big fight for everybody. The network's going to make a lot of money. ESPN, Fox, PBC, Top Rank, all these guys, it's one of the biggest money fights in boxing right now. So everybody wants to make this fight. Terrence Crawford wants it. And so, as we have seen over the last 2 years, the only person that's been putting up roadblocks between this fight happening has been Errol Spence and his PBC fanboys out there, the fans out there, some of these LDBC guys who are basically forming who have what I call the Spence Protection Brigade. They put everything in front of this fight happening, all kind of excuses, other side of the street, 60-40, 70-30, heavy lifting, not selling. Everybody knows that's nonsense about not selling. This is going to be the biggest selling fight in boxing right now. Maybe the first or second biggest selling fight. This fight will sell. Okay, and it's not going to just sell because of Errol Spence alone. Contrary to what people are talking about, it's going to sell because Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence is coming together to make this fight. So it's really a 50-50 fight. In terms of money. But again, like I said, the 60-40 talking point, is Errol Spence get out of the fight card. Okay, he can keep using that to get out of the fight without, actually saying he don't want to fight. Okay, so here you see him coming out and saying, you know, I don't want to get screwed by the suits, because they're probably telling him, listen, Errol Spence, let's make this fight, man. Forget about the 60-40 nonsense you're talking about, man. Everybody want to make this fight. It's a big money fight. You're going to make a lot of money. Let's make this fight for 50-50 and forget about 60-40. And so he's saying, no, no, no. Okay. He's talking about getting screwed over by the suits and about people telling him to just fight and be quiet. And he's not going to just fight and be quiet. So there it is, people. It's plain as day. Okay, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. It's not rocket science. Okay, they're putting the pressure on him to make the fight, but he don't want to make the fight. Okay, luckily for him, this whole, luckily for Errol Spence, that is, this whole Ugas thing, happened right now. So it looks like he might get a reprieve in terms of not having to make the Crawford fight right away. But at the end of the day, the Ugas fight, if they do that unification, it's not going to make a lot of money in terms of pay-per-view. That's not the fight that everybody's looking for. Okay, so it's not going to be a big fight per se. Via pay-per-view. Okay, it's going to be a decent fight, but I doubt if it's going to do any more pay-per-view. If they even go to pay-per-view, they might not even go to pay-per-view. It might just be a free fight. Okay, and if they go to pay-per-view, I don't think it's going to do any more than, say, the Danny Garcia fight, it's not going to do as much as the Mikey Garcia fight, for example, and it's not going to do as much as the Sean Porter fight, which didn't really do that well, and neither did the Danny Garcia fight. That fight didn't do that well either. Okay, so from what I'm hearing, that fight had less than 200, around 200 pay-per-view. The Danny Garcia fight, okay? And in that Danny Garcia fight, everybody was expecting the fight to do 600 or 700,000 pay-per-view, but it only did about 200,000, okay? So the fight was, way under what they expected, okay? And so nobody really got paid, too much out of that fight, okay? Including the people that put the fight on. Luckily, I guess the only thing that was good about the fight was the the gate. They had I think 16,000 fans. That's what the stadium was allowing. So I don't know how many fans actually showed up, but the fight overall didn't really do that well. It performed below expectations. Okay, so now, all right. So here comes the Ugas fight. Errol Spence, all of a sudden, with this Ugas fight, strap season came out of retirement and out of hiding. Okay, because as you know, we haven't seen strap season for a while now. Errol Spence used to talk about strap season before, before Crawford was at welterweight. That's all Errol Spence talked about was strap season. He wanted to collect all the straps. As soon as Terrence Crawford came to welterweight and started making noise, strap season, was over with. When they started calling for the Errol Spence Terrence Crawford fight, we didn't hear nothing about strap season. Strap season went into hiding, went into retirement. He retired strap season, okay. But now, all of a sudden that Ugas has a belt and he feels that he could take the belt off of Ugas. Strap season just comes out of hiding and out of retirement now, and he's up there talking about strap season again and talking about all you had to have is something that I want. Talking about the belt that Ugas have, okay, the WBA belt. So now it's strap season. Now it's not strap season when it comes to Crawford's belt. Okay, you don't hear him talk about strap season when it comes to that belt. All you hear him talking about when it comes to the Crawford belt is 60-40, other side of the street. Heavy lifting. Don't want to get screwed over by the suits. Okay, all this. Anything not to make the fight happen, okay? And strap season, way, in hiding and in deep retirement. So, again, this fight with Ugas probably won't do that well. Well, definitely it's not going to do as good as Crawford Spence. We know that for a fact, okay? And so he's pushing for the fight. I mean, Ugas didn't even have the belt 1 hour, and Spence was calling him out. I mean, look at what a difference a belt makes, right? what a difference a fighter makes. I mean, for 2 years we're trying to get the Crawford Spence fight, and there's all kind of reasons why he don't want to make that fight, and then in less than an hour he's making the Ugas fight. It's amazing, man. So you see, when we talk about people, you can see that when a fighter wants to make a fight, it's gonna happen. When he doesn't want to make a fight, there's all kind of excuses, that's put up there, and we see plain as day now that Errol Spence did not want and still do not want the Crawford fight under any circumstance. Even his own PBC organization want the fight, and he still don't want it. He's criticizing them and talking about suits. Okay, he don't want to get screwed over by suits. Okay, because they're trying to make him take this fight at a 50-50 probably. So it is what it is, though. Okay, the funny thing is this, and I said it before. It would be funny now if Errol Spence was to take this fight with Ugas and end up losing his belts for less money than he would have gotten against Crawford if you have lost to Crawford. Okay, it would be very ironic. He'd be in the Keith Thurman category if something like that was to happen. On the outside looking in, while Ugas go ahead to make the big fight with Crawford and get the big money. Okay, so I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it could well happen. Now, by all accounts, Errol Spence should be able to beat, he should be able to beat Ugas, and which is why he's so eager to fight Ugas, because he thinks he can beat Ugas. Okay, he's not going to fight. That's why he's not eager to fight Crawford, because he doesn't think he can beat Crawford. So you see the difference. Okay, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we got to call it like it is. We can't sugarcoat this thing and make it try to be something that it's not. Okay, he's been ducking Crawford, but he's not ducking Ugas. He's not talking about 60-40 Ugas. He's not talking about he's doing all the heavy lifting. He's not talking about Ugas having fight nobody. None of the excuses that he's been making for Crawford fight is he making now for Ugas. Okay, he's not negotiating the media with the percentages. He doesn't mention it about 60-40, 50-50 or whatever. Okay, and neither of his fans. So his fans, are all eager for him to get this fight as well, because they all think that he can beat Ugas. So it's basically, what they're doing. I mean, it's ironic what this guy is doing to the welterweight division. Errol Spence, who claims that he's the big fish in the welterweight, he's turning the welterweight division into the WWE, Worldwide Wrestling. Okay, he only want to fight people he know he can beat. Okay, he only want to fight, a fight where what the outcome is going to be already before the fight even starts. Okay, this is what Errol Spence is doing to the welterweight division. Okay, by ducking Crawford and fighting all these guys, he think he could, he know he can beat, like Mikey Garcia, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, guys that nobody thought that Errol Spence was going to lose against any of these guys. Okay, so this is what, and at the end of the day, when you look at the fights, what did he accomplish at welterweight? People keep talking about his record at welterweight, his record, but at the end of the day, he beat the good fight. The one good fight he had was Kell Brook, okay, and then after he beat Kell Brook, what did Errol Spence do? He fought the guy that Kell Brook beat, which was Sean Porter. Okay? And then after he fought Sean Porter, what was his next fight? He fought the guy that Sean Porter beat, Danny Garcia. I mean, so he's not moving up, he's moving down. Okay? So, I mean, it is what it is, people. We got to really look at this and, call it like we see it, because, it is what it is. So we got to, just take a clear look at what's going on. I mean, I can understand the fanboys out there, when that's their guy and they're trying to make it look good, and dress it up, But again, like I always say, if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to change. It's just going to be lipstick on a pig. So it is what it is. So yeah, now Errol Spence is complaining about the suit because he's getting pressure from people to make the fight, and he's probably getting pressure from his own camp, in terms of the PBC, to make the fight, because as we saw, Bob Arum came out and said that, Haymon wants to make the fight, and that the only person that doesn't want the fight is is Errol Spence. And like I said, I've been hearing that from, you know, other sources, that inside the PBC organization, they've been saying that Errol Spence don't want any smoke with Terrence Crawford. Okay, it looks like they're getting frustrated with that and don't actually want to make the fight, because, like I say, it's a big money fight for everybody involved. Okay, including Errol Spence, but he doesn't want it. So it is what it is, people. So I'm not gonna take up any more of your time with this one. Okay, we all know what's going on. Okay, I just wanted to lay that out there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, people. Okay, you know, subscribe to the channel. Okay, so you can get the latest and, you know, the real commentary instead of fanboy commentary from a lot of these people out there. Okay, this is TBE Boxing. That's all I have. I'm out.